caring and nurturing, and, Pisces rules hospitals, institutions. People that have a lot of Piscean qualities they're the helpers, the ones that want nurses, or, people that take care of others in a very kind, feeling way.
Oh, that's me.
That's you?
Obvious. Somebody once said if I wasn't so involved and if I ever won the lottery, I would need a third world country to keep me busy.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you win the lottery, you know where I am. I'll become a third world country.
Question.
Yeah.
It's been bothering me for most of my adult life. Every time I look at horoscopes, and I'm constantly looking at them, whatever publication I pick up, some say that my birthday is in Leo, and some say that my birthday is in Virgo.
Right. Well, you're born the day before the 23rd, right? The day before it changed. Now, there is the slight possibility that you are 0 degrees of Virgo, but it would depend on what time of day you were born.
5:15 in the evening.
There's a good chance that you are a Virgo, because this time that we use is it's the time in Greenwich, England, where time starts. So this is midnight in Greenwich. So it would technically be the next day. I would say that there's a pretty... I'd have to actually calculate your chart to do all the calculations to figure this out exactly. And I don't have a computer here with me. But I would say the odds are pretty good that you have the sun in Virgo. But it doesn't, this doesn't negate a lot of the things that I said about Leo, because whenever someone, there are usually other components. Actually, looking at your chart, you don't have any other Leo things, but maybe you have Leo rising. I don't know. Anyway, lots of times there will be a sense of this. You have Mercury in Virgo. So the way you think lots of times will be along this very mercurial, a good teacher.
Okay, Paula? We appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Paula from Putnam Valley. On the phone with us now is Helen from Yorktown. Helen is calling on behalf of her son. Helen, his birthday is September 30th, 1977. Helen, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, hi. There you are.
Hi.
Okay. Your son's date of birth, September 30th, 1977, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You're on with Mary Michele.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. Was there a particular question?
No, he's adopted, and I adopted him when he was 4 months old. And he knows that he's adopted and whatever, and we have given him all the love and everything. But now that, he resents that, and he's very angry. And I'm taking him to a psychologist to see, what's the problem. So he feels like his mom abandoned him. But I told him that it's not that way, and we are his parents. But he feels that the ones that he should be calling grandma and grandpa, he's calling mom and dad, and he's very upset.
Right. Well, he has a harmonious aspect between the sun and the moon, his parents. So there is a deep-seated quality that he knows that you're there for him. You have to trust that. I'm sure that, how old is he, 18 or something?
17.
17, yeah. That's a tough age. Let's face it, it's not easy. He has Mercury in the sign of Virgo. He's very bright. Does he work with computers or?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. He's got a very, very good mind. He's got Venus in Virgo. He might have trouble sometimes enjoying himself. He doesn't know how to have a good time. It's a little hard for him to be, to just sit back and have fun. And also he has a little bit of trouble with fighting. He's not really good with knowing how and when to pick a fight with someone. So these are issues that he's probably having to work out right now. And I would just, give it a little more time. There's a good aspect between these two things that I was talking about, Venus and Mars. It's a sextile. He will work it out, but it will take a little bit of time, and I think you just have to trust that will happen. And, it probably has a little bit more to do with your chart as to why you're reacting to his...
A Gemini.
Yeah, right. So, anyway, was there something else?
involved with some kind of, the friends that I don't like. And I talked to him, and he says that to leave him alone, to trust him. And I said, but, to trust you, you're doing the wrong things, and this scares me. He says he's not doing anything wrong, but I see that there's a lot of things that are wrong.
Right, but I think you have to sit back and just give him a little rope. I think he'll surprise you. He has a very solid love for you. He has the moon in Taurus. It's exalted, so mother is extremely important. But lots of times when mother is so important and she's so solid and she's so good and so real to him, that means it's even harder to break away. So, he needs to do this.
Okay, Helen, we do thank you for your call. I'm going to ask Christine to hold on for just a couple of seconds. We're talking to Mary Michele on Meet the VIPs. I'm Mike Sarnoff, and we are going to be back in exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds here at WVIP.
WVIP Radio and Television is growing. And right now, we're expanding our sales department. If you have media or outside sales experience and are looking to join a winning team, then call me, Bob DeFelice, at 241-1310. WVIP is looking for you if you are bright, articulate, and have a true desire to help our community's businesses grow. Phone 241-1310. That's 241-1310.
In today's business climate, business owners have to take advantage of every opportunity. And when it comes to seizing opportunities, Union State Bank gives local businesses big business advantages. Speedy processing of commercial loans and commercial mortgages are just part of the Union State advantage. Our business services work to maximize cash flow and control float. Credit for funds received is expedited, and operating lines of credit are available to keep cash flow steady. Union State Bank is a strong, successful, locally owned bank. The bank's decision makers live and work in the community, so we want to see local businesses succeed. We know the local economy. Calling officers have the full authority and lending strength of the bank behind them without having to go to far-off committees for approval. Why not learn more about how Union State can work for you and your business? Call 365-4600 for our latest reports. Union State Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to Meet the VIPs. Mike Sarnoff along with Mary Michele taking your calls at 241-1310, 241-1310. On the phone with us now, actually watching us on television, is Christine from Katona. Date of birth, February 19th, 1976. 2/1976. Good morning, Christine. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning.
Good morning.
2/19. Was there a particular question that you had?
Yes. I'm having a lot of problems with my boyfriend, and he's in the sign of Gemini. And I was just wondering if, it's really going to work out between us, because it's just a constant battle.
Christine, would you be kind enough to lower your TV for a second, please, because we're getting some feedback from there. Thank you.
You have, do you know what time of day you were born?
I was born in the morning.
In the morning. Okay, so you have the sun in Aquarius, the last day of Aquarius, and the moon in Scorpio. There's, there's a little bit of a hard angle for you unconsciously from the sun, the solar principle, and the moon. The sun being the conscious, the moon being the unconscious. There is this thing with the moon in Scorpio of perhaps wanting to be a little, wanting to dig a little deeper than is always needed. It's also something that's been going on. There's been kind of a little bit of a rough period that's been going over your moon for quite a long time. The good news is that as of the end of November, there's going to be a major shift, and you will feel it'll be a lot easier for you to get in touch with your feelings. In terms of your boyfriend, I think it's probably been rough for the last, particularly rough for the last couple of weeks. But I think in August, it'll loosen up a little bit if you would like to keep going with it. There will be a shift, a change in your understanding of him and the way that you work with him. And long term, if it does work through the month of August, there'll be a big change in January, where I think that, if you manage to keep the relationship together through the fall, then January will be a time for, a big change. It's hard for me to tell exactly how, drastically it's gotten to the point. And I'm sure that it's, very, very upsetting to you. But, I think the indication would be that you might want to work a little longer at it.
Yeah. Well, we've been together for 3 years.
Okay.
And there's a big controlling issue with him, and I get the feeling like he doesn't trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult for me to deal with that, because I'm a very trusting person. I trust him very much. And
but what you must understand is that you're very mysterious to him. So lots of times when someone doesn't understand someone, the way that it manifests is on very, superficial levels of not trusting. So I think you have to find ways to be even more communicative about you personally. The tendency probably for you is that you would want to be very general and talk about, issues concerning the world or, other people or groups and so on. And it might be a little hard for you to be very, very forthcoming about yourself. So try talking about yourself more.
Okay.
Okay?
One more question.
Okay, go ahead. We got some other people waiting, but go ahead.
Okay, really quick. A lot of charts say that I'm Pisces.
Yes.
Do I have anything in the Pisces? Or
Well,
because I was born in the morning that I'm more Aquarius and Virgo?
Yes, you have. I think that it's pretty secure that you're an Aquarius, but it does change that day. The sun changes from Aquarius to Pisces that day, and you have other Aquarius traits. But, the nature of it is that you'll probably have some overflow of Pisces as well, some sense of... but I would stick with the Aquarius. I think you've got a lot more of that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much. We have an open line now at 241-1310. 241-1310 if you want to talk to Mary Michele. You wanted to talk about Neptune.
Yeah,
Neptune, I see him as the sea.
Neptune, also known as Poseidon, was the king of the sea, is the king of the sea. And he, when you go back to the story of the clash of the Titans and the gods in Greek mythology and so on, Neptune was one of the people, along with Jupiter and Hades, who overthrew their father, Saturn. And he always was a little bit in competition. Neptune was always a little bit in competition with Jupiter because Jupiter became the king of the gods, and Neptune and Pluto became kind of Hades, became secondary, in the chain of command. Anyway, the things about Neptune that I think are so interesting, and for me terribly difficult to talk about, and I think for most people to really notice, because Neptune is about, like the sea, things that happen to you when you're not noticing. What the sea can do is it can come upon you, it can encroach you, it can come up on the ground, on the earth, and take a little bit away of the earth bit by bit, and you don't even know that it's happening. And things in your own life will happen like that, depending on where Neptune is in your chart. You just don't quite see it until after it's happened. The outer planets in general, the planets that we can't see with the naked eye, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are the planets that influence generations. And I think the first one that was discovered, Uranus, in the 1740s, was much more easy to comprehend on a verbal level. It's something that we can talk about as astrologers, and people can relate to the idea of it. Uranus, the glyph for it are two little squiggly lines, one on top of the other. And if you think about it, it really represents what it is. I'm sorry, the glyphs are for Aquarius, which is the sign that Uranus rules. It's the sign of electricity. Uranus was discovered about the same time that they discovered electricity. It is also the sign of revolution and change, big change. And if you think about it, particularly, I wanted to talk about it today a bit because it's July 14th, which is the day of the French Revolution.
Bastille Day. I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, and the French, we've always had a lot in common with the French. There's always been a bit of the Americans and the French have always had a kind of a healthy rivalry in terms of these issues surrounding, democracy, socialism, however you choose to look at it, but things that deal with humanity in general. So, but the next planet out after Uranus is the planet Neptune, and that is when, if you think about it psychologically, Uranus is that shocking thing that happens when we first individuate, when we first become separate from our families, particularly the mother. This is how we change, and we can do it a little violently to begin with. Then, a little later, we start to realize that there are ongoing issues with this that we haven't noticed, that the process of becoming your separate person is a difficult thing. And this is where Neptune comes in, coupled with the fact that Neptune will also say that you have to get in touch with the spiritual side of things, your own particular belief system, to fully break away and become your own individual self. It's a difficult issue because you have to become part of the collective to become an individual. And that's what Neptune is talking about. And there's a very specific story about it. Do you want to do it?
Well, you can do it now, or we got two people waiting.
I'll do some calls and then I'll come back.
Okay.
It's the story of Medusa.
Okay, I'm going to ask Patty to hold for just a second, and also to Ann from Putnam County. I've got to do 1 minute of commercial so we can stay on the air, and we will be back with Mary Michele on Meet the VIPs.
You know that feeling when you walk out the front door early in the morning and the sun is shining and the air is cool, and you pick up the paper already there at your feet, and you walk to the mailbox and pull out your kid's report card and discover he's got straight A's for the first time in his life. And then your neighbor walks up and returns your snow thrower, and to show his appreciation tells you he's going to cut your grass straight through July. And by the way, the property line is in the wrong place, and your yard is actually 10 feet wider and runs right through his garage. So if it's okay, he'd like to start paying you garage rent. You know that feeling?
Oh, how sweet it is. Take 5, the lottery game where 500,000 winners feel that good every week. Take 5 from the New York Lottery. Drawings Tuesday and Friday. Play today.
In case you missed the televised lottery drawings, call 976-2020 within the 212-718-516 and 914 area codes to find out the New York Lottery winning results. All calls are 40 cents. Call 976-2020, the only official lottery number.
And we're back with Mary Michele on Meet the VIPs. Good morning. On the phone with us right now is Patty calling from Bedford. Patty's date of birth is May 19th, 1974. May 19th, 1974. So let's see, you are about 21 years old then. Oh, okay. I have a son who was born the same year, that's why.
Okay, was there a particular question?
Well, not really. I mean, I find astrology and, that whole psychic thing very fascinating. And, just to get more insights about myself, my personality, because I've recently just separated with my boyfriend after a considerable amount of time.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm sorry about that. You were born at the new moon. You have the sun and moon in the sign of Taurus, which gives you a very, very strong focus. Taurus is a very focused sign to begin with. It's fixed. It's about, seeing clearly where you want to go and sense of direction and being very, very grounded. And the moon in Taurus it's a very nice place for the moon. It's certainly in terms of your emotional issues, I think that you are pretty good at not making them too complicated. I think you have a pretty healthy way of dealing with your emotional issues. The only thing that might be a little difficult is that sometimes you're a little abrupt. Venus, which rules Taurus, is in the sign of Aries, and it's in its fall in Aries, which means that it's not the easiest place for the planet of love. Venus is love. Because there's a little Martian. There's a Martian quality of wanting to fight, and take the initiative and abruptly change directions, which, might be difficult for you and for the person that you're involved with, because most of the time you're a very, very strong support system, and, clear about what you need and what you want. You have Mercury in Gemini. Your mind works, well with all of this. You're clear thinking. You could see both sides of things. You have to be careful with Gemini always, because Gemini's the trickster. He likes to play tricks. So you might occasionally, but very infrequently, overthink things. And sort of think your way into a corner. Is there something long-term? Do you have a long-term question about him, or is there a feeling that you have that you might get back together, or you would like to get back together, or?
Well, I really can't say, because, I love him so much, and my heart is so there. But, first of all, he lives a great deal away, so it's really hard. And
he goes away a lot. He travels quite a bit?
Lives in another state.
Oh, he lives in another state. That is difficult. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a student.
You're a student. Uh-huh. Well, I don't know what to tell you, but I have the sense that it's not quite over yet. I have the sense that you probably by the fall will perhaps be able to find your way clear to see him again. I don't have any particular reason for saying that. I have the sense that you still, the attachment is still there, the emotional attachment is still there. And you have a lot of watery planets. You have Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all in water. Mars and Saturn in Cancer, and Jupiter in Pisces. So let's put it this way. I think by the end of next week, you will have made your decision. But I think the tendency probably is to continue a little longer with this person, to try to understand your emotions with him.
Okay.
Patty, thank you for calling. We are talking to Mary Michele on Meet the VIPs. We have an open line again at 241-1310. Ann, are you on the phone now from Putnam County?
Yes.
Okay, Ann is here. Your date of birth is February 15th, 1946. 2/15/46. Good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, Ann.
Good morning, Mary.
Was there a particular question?
In general, I would like to be informed a little.
I'm sorry?
In general, family, health, travel around that area.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You have the sun in Aquarius and the moon in Leo, so you were born at the time of the full moon. This is a very... it means that things throughout your life are always coming to some kind of a pregnant issue. It's like things will always be... The full moon is what brings all of our emotions out and so on. So your life is about learning how to deal with that, having things become very, very much in your face. You have Mercury in Pisces, Venus in Pisces. There's a lot of water here, okay? So even though you have the sun in Aquarius and the moon in Leo, there's a lot of sense here of wanting to be on the emotional level, dealing with people on an emotional level. With the sun in Aquarius, just very generally, the sun in Aquarius is about wanting to stay away from talking about the individual. It's about wanting to help the groups and trying to understand the social consciousness of larger groups of people. And usually people with the sun in Aquarius have the difficulty of realizing that it's okay to get very much into... You're not going to be considered egocentric if you try to be more in touch with who you are. So, I would encourage this soul-searching thing, that you should spend more time doing that. And you will only get better at helping those groups and the social, the world at large, that is so much a part of your will and what you would really like to do on a bigger picture. all this Pisces stuff, the Mercury-Venus conjunct in Pisces. Do you work with people? Are you in some kind of a helping profession?
Yes, with children and animals, and I'm into real estate managing for a relative of mine.
Uh-huh. It's very, you're very good at dealing with children and with animals, and, anytime you would want to do something a little different with them, you might want to draw on images. You might want to do things like drawing or painting or listening to music with them. So, is there anything else that I could help you with?
Yes. Real estate, do you see anything about travel in the future?
You could travel in August, but I would imagine that for the time being, it's probably a good idea to stick a little close to home.
The latter part of the year.
The latter part of the year. The end of November. If you want to go away, I would go away the end of November.
And about health, anything do you see?
I think, physically you're fine. Was there a particular question with health? No.
Okay, Ann, we do thank you for calling from Putnam County. I'm going to ask Christine, I'm going to ask Lori, and I'm going to ask Ermengarde to hold on for just a couple of seconds. You will get on with Mary Michele just a couple seconds. I want to ask you about, you said there was a particular story about Neptune.
Yes.
You want to tell me what the story is?
Yes. Neptune had this, because he was so good with creating illusions and so on, he had a terrific way with the female population. He was seducing them quite a bit. And one of the people that he seduced was a priestess, a temple priestess of Athena. Now, Neptune and Athena didn't get along too well. Athena was the goddess of war that was born out of the thigh of Zeus, and she was a highly intelligent warrior. She would aggressively defend her position through the mind, not so much in actual physical battle. Anyway, she and Neptune didn't get along too well, and he seduced her temple priestess. Now, she got so angry about this that she turned the temple priestess into the Gorgon Medusa. Now, Medusa, I don't know if you remember, she was extremely ugly, and she had these snakes. Her hair was made of snakes, and anybody that looked at her was turned to stone. And the person that was able to finally get rid of Medusa was Perseus, and what he did was that he held up his shield, and she looked at herself in the mirror and was turned to stone. Now, what was interesting was that the minute that she died, she gave birth to the horse, because Neptune had come to her as a horse, Pegasus, the winged horse. And the idea of the winged horse is that the horse is the animal that can go between the consciousnesses, can go between the very conscious, being aware of everything that's going on, and the unconscious. And winged means that they can go back and forth. He can go back and forth. So the idea of this story is that Medusa, we have to face the Medusa within ourselves. We have to look into that mirror. And sometimes with Neptunian issues, it can be things that are very, very painful, because Neptune is dealing with illusions, and we get disillusioned. So we have to follow that. We kind of have to. It's like the idea of an alcoholic, when they say that an alcoholic has to go all the way to the gutter before they will pull themselves out again. They have to stare Medusa in the face, but then they give birth to Pegasus, the winged horse.
Okay, so we've got that. I assume that was the end of the story, because yes, there was the moral to it. Yes. I think. All right, we're going to be back with the four people we're holding online just a couple seconds away with Mary Michele. Back in 1 minute.
You can't rehearse the most dramatic moment of your life. Canned applause, a musical score, actors reciting scripted lines have no part in the real-life drama of justice. The trials you'll see on Court TV play once, live, as they happen, and they play for keeps. Most people say Court TV's so riveting it's addictive, but you can turn it off and do the 100 other things that make up your week. We'll be there when you get back, so you can make the trial, the drama, the story a part of your life while you live your life. Day in and day out. Soap operas can't touch match it. Docudramas can't capture it. From the Rodney King police brutality trial to the custody battle over Gregory Kay. From charges of gay bashing in the military to the case of Reginald Denny. Court TV brings an impartial, objective look into America's courtrooms. It's the real whole story. Watch Court TV weekdays. Court TV. Watch a little, watch a lot.
And you can order Court TV by calling Cablevision of Yorktown, 962-4444. Let's say good morning to Christine in Katona, date of birth December 27th, 1963. Good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Morning.
Good morning. Was there a particular question?
I had actually two questions. My first one had to do with my career. I'm in sort of a rut at this point. I'm a scientist. And I've been working at the same company for about 8 years, and I don't see much opportunity to move up in this company, so I don't quite know what to do.